Maybe it's just warming up, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't
All right,
either.
we'll go ahead. Okay, good morning, everybody. We'll go ahead and call the Police and Fire Commission to order. All commissioners are present. The first item on the agenda is the minutes of the February 22nd, 2021 meeting. Entertain a motion for approval.
I'll second.
Got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye. Okay, that passes. All right, first item under policy issues is discuss input from the fire department listening sessions. I wanted to have an opportunity to debrief as a group to talk about how this would inform, how we're going forward. I think all the commissioners heard my summary of what we heard from the groups in terms of the candidate they're looking for, so I don't feel a need to reiterate that this morning. But any other takeaways that you had from the listening sessions in terms of candidate profile or questions or parts of the process that you'd like to see in the selection? Can you flip your mic, Cheryl, so Chris?
I thought your summary was excellent.
Okay,
Yeah.
thanks. Anything else? No? It was really great, well-attended. Again, all the commissioners and the mayor attended all 4 sessions, so that was really exceptional. I think that there were a couple key things that we'll need to address in the interview process that I'll discuss with Tony that were key questions or presentations that we'd want to have, so I can share those with Tony as a follow-up from today. With that, we'll move on to the fire chief recruitment update. I did get an update from Tony last week on this. The one thing I did have a question on, Tony, was how many total applications did we get?
That's a good question that I don't have off the top of my head, but I want to say it was between 20 and 25.
That's good enough. So between 20 and 25, the HR department screened against the minimum qualifications in the description. 4 candidates were determined not to meet the minimum qualifications, and 2 candidates withdrew. Is what we have so far. And then the screening process that the city has engaged in is that there's a 3-person panel, including an outside fire expert, that conducted a blind resume review. So all 3 of the individuals didn't have any information about who they were, where they were from, to the greatest extent possible. And they scored the resumes in the following categories: fire suppression experience, EMS experience, fire inspection experience, leadership supervisory experience, education, self-development, and budget management experience. Tony, do you want to say anything further about that? I mean, was there high variability in the scoring, or was it pretty comparable?
There was a bit of variability in the scoring. And we had some scores among the raters that were pretty close, and then others that were a little bit more variable. Everybody does resumes a little bit different, so this is always a challenging step in the process.
So that was helpful in at least getting it down?
It was, yes. 18 is a large group, and so we were looking at really just a way to get it down to, we're likely to invite about 11 candidates to move forward, so we just wanted to winnow it to make sure that we're best using our in-person interview panels times.
Okay, and so that next step is 11 candidates would be invited to this 5-person panel that includes, again, an outside fire expert, an elected official representative, the mayor, yourself, and...
I'm actually not serving as a rater, but I will be the moderator for the interviews.
Okay, who else would be on part?
It's someone from the county, the deputy...
Jason Hake?
Yes, I'm trying
Okay.
to remember what his official title is.
Yep.
Deputy Administrator from the county, an outside fire expert who's a neighboring chief. The police chief is going to participate for us, and the mayor and an alderperson.
Okay, great. And then from there, we should get it down to the number of candidates that we would like to see here. We were made aware during the interview process that there were 2 internal candidates.
There are, yes.
Okay. So we would want to interview the 2 internals. How many additional do we want to add to that process? Do 2, 4?
I was going to say 3.
Okay.
But,
Total or in addition to
oh,
the
no,
2?
in addition to.
Okay,
Yeah.
so up to 3 max? So it'd be 5 total as a
Yeah.
max?
Well, I think that we should get a number of resumes and then kind of go look at that and then say, yeah, we want to interview 3 or, 5, whatever the case may be. I think that's what we did last time, did we not? We kind of did the selection process, and then we went down to a group of them, and then we kind of said, well, let's have these 3 or whatever the case may be.
Yeah, you're testing my memory there, Bill. I don't recall, I mean, as a follow-up from the panel interviews, I guess the commission could meet with you, maybe, Tony, and review the scoring of the 11 candidates, or whatever it is, and then just kind of discuss how many candidates, and then to determine our final, or our panel interview.
Yeah, I mean, if you wanted, we could have a discussion and establish the cut point after the in-person, well, the remote in-person interviews happened, and then establish how many this group wanted to see and speak to.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, off the cuff, I would personally say 4. 2 internal and 2 external, feeling that the panel would do a good job getting to that level.
And it may be helpful to wait until you have the scores, because sometimes there's a clear separation where you've got a couple of candidates that scored very closely together and are more comparable than others. And it's hard to predict where that point is going to fall before the process happens.
I think we also want to be careful, because when we say we want to interview that person, and that becomes public record for that person, and he or she, employers will know that they are, seeking different jobs. So we got to be a little careful. We have to be semi-serious in that, yeah, this is a good candidate, not just a token, fill in the numbers, et cetera. So that's got to be thought of.
I believe the designation as a finalist is 5 or less. Is that the rule, or is it different now?
Oh, you're testing my memory.
Okay. I think that's what the public records is. Katie's, Mayor's shaking her head, yes, okay, so, just for everybody's,
I know we're limited on who applies, but how do we ensure a panel of candidates with some diversity?
Sure. That's a challenging process, and it's something that police and fire have been struggling with for decades. And there are some techniques that can be used. Nothing can guarantee you a diverse panel, but some things is like a dedicated recruiter who's a minority usually helps increase diverse applicants. Making sure that you're posting the position and advertising it in across, so that it covers your entire recruitment area, and that you make sure that you reach out into various communities can also help as well. But I'm going to be honest, when it comes down, there's really no way to ensure you're going to get diverse panels. And what we tend to see in positions, particularly ones like police and fire that struggle with diversity at the lower level, is that the higher up in the recruitment process you get, the less diverse candidates you have that meet the qualifications. So we always try to keep a close eye on the minimum qualifications, make sure that they do accurately reflect the position, so that you're not unnecessarily eliminating people. But if you're going to require management position in fire service, and when you look in Wisconsin or across the nation, and management level in area is highly majority filled, obviously your candidates are going to be reflective of that.
okay. Any other questions or updates relative to the fire chief recruitment process?
What type of time frame are we looking at?
We have the panel interviews are scheduled from the beginning to the middle of April. So the PFC interviews could conceivably happen the last week of April or into early May.
Yeah, so our next commission meeting would be the 19th, 26th. So we could either target that date to review the 11 applicants with Tony, or have a special meeting once they conclude their process to do that. And then at some point, we'll have to coordinate with the candidates and our schedules to get a block of time, which may be a challenge, but we'll work on it. So,
And one of the items to keep in mind for timeline too is that if you're going to give a project to the candidates, we'll want to make sure that we build in sufficient time for that. You know, so if you're expecting a presentation or a labor-intensive project, we'll want to make sure that we give everybody enough time to be noticed of the requirement and put something that they're proud of together.
so it looks like the 16th is the last date of your virtual interviews, and there may be a rescheduling event if somebody's calendar doesn't work. So gives you 1 week, and then if we meet on the 26th and then review all the apps with you on that day, and then we can determine an interview schedule and number.
Yep.
That works.
Okay, 26th, did we say?
Yeah, the regular scheduled PFC meeting.
Yeah, we can agendize a closed session item, which is the review of the candidates and establishing a call-in point. And then I would recommend at least a week notice, 2 weeks if you're giving a project, 3 weeks if it's a really hefty project, before you do the actual in-person interviews.
So potentially the week of the 10th of May, the target.
Okay.
Good with that, Mayor? Okay.
Yes, we do.
Okay.
I would expect any selected applicant to have to give notice, and usually at this level, we're looking at more than 2 weeks' notice. Just something to keep in mind when considering timelines for a person in the chair.
Okay, anything else on that agenda item? Looks like we have a plan. Okay, the next item on our agenda, I'd ask somebody to please read the closed session item.
I'll make a motion to go into closed session pursuant to Section 19.85, Parent 1, Parent C of the Wisconsin State Statutes for consideration of employment, promotion, compensation, or performance evaluation data of any public employee over which the government body has jurisdiction or exercises responsibility for the purpose of considering an interim fire chief.
Okay, we have a motion, do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, we have to do a roll call vote on that, so.
Graff, yes?
Strasser, yes.
Bar, yes.
Harris, yes.
Loy, yes, and it's my understanding that we're going to adjourn or move into the side room over here for the closed session items, so if you guys want to grab what